Now, deterring birds from nesting to prevent them interfering with planned construction projects became a controversial issue last year, with developers across the country accused of unethical behaviour when they put nets over trees. Now, the HS2 construction project is using captive birds of prey, seemingly to keep birds from nesting in an ancient woodland that lies in the path of the proposed railway. Conservationists say that while legal, the technique is ineffective, even immoral. Here's Anja Popp.
Around this time of year, woodlands like this one in Warwickshire come alive with the sound of birds, getting ready to raise new young.
Well, some of the birds that we found in a wood like this are actually on the red list of species of highest conservation concern, things like starlings and willow tits. And willow tits in particular are woodland specialists. They really need habitat like this.
Broadwell Woods is one of the many ancient woodlands due to be cut down to make way for the new high-speed rail line, HS2. But it's illegal to damage birds' nests while they're in use. So HS2 has brought in some birds of their own. The company flying the hawks for them say their use can avoid delays to projects by stopping birds from nesting altogether.
This approach really just illustrates HS2's apparent contempt for wildlife. We've lost 40 million birds in our country in the last 50 years, and we cannot afford developers to take the approach that HS2 seem to be taking here, which is playing Russian roulette with our wildlife.
HS2 say they don't clear trees during the nesting season unless an ecologist is present to spot any nests, and that their use of specially trained hawks is an efficient and effective tool to ward off birds, and they say they're trained not to attack.
The hawks are being flown right now, and you can hear the volume of birdsong going on around us. If the idea is to stop these birds nesting, it's completely ludicrous and it simply won't work.
There'll be people watching this who think, well, HS2 is better for the environment than other forms of travel. What are you complaining about?
So new railways are a good thing for tackling the climate crisis, but we're also facing a nature emergency in this country, and we cannot afford to tackle one emergency by sacrificing against another. It's perfectly possible to build new railway lines in a way that minimises damage and delivers a net gain for wildlife rather than a loss.
This ancient woodland is set to be one of the first to be affected along the route. But the worry for environmentalists isn't just about the wildlife here, but that whatever happens in this area will set the blueprint for how HS2 manages wildlife in other ancient woodlands along the route. It's not the first time that developers have found legal but controversial ways to push on with their plans. Building contractors, local councils and even Cambridge University have come under fire for using nets in trees and on cliffs so that birds aren't able to settle there. HS2 say the only reason they're having to use hawks here is because protesters prevented them from felling the trees before the nesting season began.
It's alarming to hear that they're using hawks to prevent birds nesting. I've never, in all the time I've been working on this sort of project, I've never seen anybody do that before. HS2 claims to want to achieve no net loss to biodiversity. It's a government-backed project. The government keeps saying they want to leave the environment in a better state than they've found it, yet they're doing something which I think a lot of ecologists, such as myself and other people, would find very hard to understand. That why would you deliberately prevent birds from nesting? HS2 has fallen slowly behind budget and slowly behind schedule, and it's always the environment that pays the cost when those things happen.
This ancient woodland has been around for centuries, and those fighting to protect habitats like this aren't ready to give up the fight just yet.
There is still a legal challenge, so we still hold out hope, but it's really, really sad. And to be honest, it makes me really pissed off to see people coming in and hammering in stakes where this line is going to go through. This is an ancient woodland, really important for a range of wildlife, and the fact that all of this could be gone in a matter of months, it's awful.